True Mafia fans from all over know that in the series, there's a certain tie-in that is just mind-blowing. Now look, I've got a Grand Theft Auto channel, but I've been a fan of Mafia for over 10 years. I feel like the series doesn't get the love that it deserves, especially because it doesn't have flying bikes, but instead you can get pulled over for going too fast. Realism. So, Mafia Definitive Edition released yesterday, and it's a full-scale, ground-up remake of the original from 2002. Except it's pretty much a brand new game. It's kind of like Grand Theft Auto in the 1930s, basically. Listen, I just had to say it. They made me do it. I'm not comparing the two, but it's the closest we'll ever get, aside from LA Noire. So, if y'all enjoy this video, please, please, please give it a thumbs up for the algorithm. Let's go for 3,000 likes for Mafia Definitive Edition. So, in this series, we found out that in Mafia 2, the ending to Mafia 1, which takes place 15 or so years after the game's events, is just a side quest deep in the middle of Mafia 2. What you don't know, though, is as a player, if you've never played Mafia 1, is that in-game and in real life, you're taking out a legendary protagonist who, after years of hiding, has finally been found. So today we're comparing the ending of Mafia 1 to Mafia 2, Mafia 2 Definitive Edition, and Mafia Definitive Edition. And after we play through all of these endings, we're going to stop and do a little comparison and take a look at the differences over time. I've been so excited to do this since Mafia Definitive Edition was announced. So, enjoy.
Mr. Angelo.
Yes?
Mr. Salieri sends his regards.
You know, the world isn't run by the laws written on paper. It's run by people. Some according to laws, others not. It depends on each individual how his world will be, how he makes it. And you also need a whole lot of luck, so that somebody else doesn't make your life hell. And it ain't as simple as they tell you in grade school. But it is good to have strong values and to maintain them. In marriage, in crime, in war. Always and everywhere. I messed up. So did Paulie and Sam. We wanted a better life, but in the end, we were a lot worse off than most other people. You know, I think it's important to keep a balance in things. Yeah, balance, that's the right word. Because the guy who wants too much risks losing absolutely everything. Of course, the guy who wants too little from life might not get anything at all.
Mr. Angelo.
Yes?
Mr. Salieri sends his regards. Mr. Angelo.
Yes?
Mr. Salieri sends his regards.
It gets us out of bed in the morning. It lets us chase our dreams. even when they're moving too fast to catch. It keeps us from falling over when we're too tired to take another step.
Mr. Angelo.
Yes.
Mr. Salieri sends his regards.
Tommy! That's okay. You're safe now. You're all safe. Remember that money, jobs, even best pals will come and go. But family is forever.
So if you want my personal opinion, I think this is one of the greatest tie-ins and just crossovers in video game history, simply because, well, kind of what I explained at the beginning of the video. If you had never played Mafia 1, which I feel like when Mafia 2 came out, a lot of the fan base hadn't played Mafia 1, as it had been 8 years since its release. It's got a lot of new players, and I played Mafia 1 back when it first came out, but I was a 7-year-old kid, so I never fully immersed myself and got the full experience. So when playing Mafia 2 and being tasked with this side quest, I thought we're just going to take out some super old dude. I had no clue who he was or what his importance was. Well, now, or after finding out back then that this was the protagonist of Mafia 1, it made it that much more interesting and surprising. But it's kind of like in game. Vito and Joe didn't know who this guy was, just like if you had never played Mafia 1. So some of the most notable changes to Tommy Angelo, which I want to go over here, are with all the images on the screen. I always thought in Mafia 2 they made this dude look super old, and same for Mafia 1. He's only about 10 or 15 years older, so he would be in his mid to maybe late 50s, maybe early 50s, somewhere around there, but he's not that old. But in Mafia 1 and 2, I feel like they made him look like a 70-year-old man, so it just was portrayed way different. Then in Mafia 2 Definitive Edition, which released just a few months ago, they actually made him look a bit younger, kind of like early to mid-50s here. And then Mafia Definitive Edition, I think they really hit the nail on the head. He's still got color in his hair. He's got a gruff voice. Obviously, he's got a different voice. But, you know, in Mafia Definitive Edition, they did a great job at just conveying the emotion of, hey, Tommy is accepting his fate because he knows that these past crimes in this past life has finally caught up to him. Now, another thing I want to talk about, and this is something you guys might be interested in, as I know we got a lot of Mafia 2 fans here, is the changes to Joe and Vito. So in Mafia 1, they're completely different. That's not Joe and Vito, even though it's supposed to be, or it turned out to later be Joe and Vito. The car's got some really big fins on the back as it's rolling up, and that's changed a little bit, but yeah. Different voices. That's not Joe and Vito, even though that is. And then we've got Mafia 2, obviously, with classic Joe and Vito right there. Mafia 2 Definitive Edition, they still look pretty much the same. And then in Mafia Definitive Edition, I think that they captured like a high-quality 2020 Vito Scaletta very, very well. I think they did a great job with that. And also Joe. Joe looks good. But Joe looks different to me, in my personal opinion. I thought he looked just a bit different. I don't know. Joe's a pretty cool character, and there's so much mystery surrounding him, being that we don't really know what exactly happened to Joe, even if there are some hints to him in Mafia 3. Now, you can also see in the background of these same images just how that has changed as well. We could see in Mafia 2 some slight changes. Mafia Definitive Edition, or 2 Definitive Edition, we see some added foliage in the background. And then Mafia Definitive Edition, it's kind of all changed up and it looks way different. So those are some really cool minor details that were changed with this ending, this tie-in, and everything about it. But when it came to Mafia Definitive Edition, this is one of the main things that I was looking forward to here, seeing how things changed and how good a remastered and remade Vito and Joe looks. So if y'all enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Got a lot of more Mafia content coming on the channel. I am so excited for this. I just feel like the series doesn't get as much love as it should. So hopefully y'all enjoy, subscribe with them notifications on, and I will see y'all on the flip side.